But in the very next chapter, we see that Daniel, the same man, is praying, and he doesn't get the answer for 3 weeks. And this is Daniel chapter 10. Notice this in verse 2. In those days, again, it's still another period of time, Daniel chapter 10. Daniel had been mourning for 3 entire weeks. I did not eat any tasty food or meat, nor put ointment on my body until 3 weeks were completed. And then, after 3 weeks of praying, no answer, a messenger from the Lord comes, an angel comes. And in verse 10, he touches Daniel on the hand. Verse 11, he says, Daniel, a man of high esteem, understand the words. He says, verse 12, do not be afraid, Daniel, from the first day that you set your heart on understanding this and on humbling yourself before your God, your words were heard, by God, and have come in response to your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, that's a fallen angel, a demonic messenger over of Persia, princes and principalities, was withstanding me, the good angel, for 21 days. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kingdom of Persia. Now I have come to give you an understanding of what will happen to your people in the latter days. So I won't have time to go into all the issues of the demonic warfare, but basically what's happening is this. Daniel, the man of God, is praying, and as he's praying, the Lord answers prayer. By the way, when did the Lord answer prayer? On the first day that he started praying. On the first day, the answer was heard by the Lord, and the answer was given out. But how long did it take for the answer to come? Answer granted, first day. Giving of the answer, 21 days. Reason, demonic opposition. And basically, the good angel was sent by the Lord to give the answer, give wisdom, and he was attacked, if you would, by the fallen angels. They didn't want Daniel to get the message down, and there was warfare going on in the heavenlies. And then Michael, the archangel, came, enlisted by God, sent by God to free them, help this angel, and Daniel gets the answer. But when did the answer was given? Listen, immediately. The actual manifestation of the answer would only come 2 weeks later. You're praying for lost people. You're praying for your family members. You're praying for your neighbors. You're praying for colleagues in the office. And you know what? Guess what? Is it God's will? Yes. It's not God's will that any should perish. 2 Peter 3:8. God wants everyone to come to the knowledge of Christ. Jesus died for the whole world, 1 John 2:2. He died and paid the price for every single person in the whole world. Do you know that Hitler's sins were paid for? Do you know that Stalin's sins were paid for? But unless you believe, you cannot be saved. So every single person in the whole world, sins are already been paid for. It's God's will for them to be saved, but they have their free choice. And sometimes when you're praying for them, you know what happens? They get worse. Because Satan wants to fight your prayers. He wants to come against those prayers. And he wants to hinder their prayers. And so, because we're dealing with unsaved colleagues, unsaved clients, unsaved people, sometimes you have opposition from the demons. Do you understand that? You might have opposition in business. You might have opposition in ministry projects. I remember when Corona China was coming up, God gave us a clear signal of what to do, but you know what? It wasn't without all its hassles, because we knew there would be the enemy. It wasn't flesh and blood, but legal things, wall buildings, and neighbors, and all kinds of things, and we had to plow through it with prayer. But the answer came. It came to the glory of God. And so never expect that every single thing you pray for, the moment you pray for, is just going to come drop in your lap. Just know there are situations where God has to work people out. He's got to work situations out. But God, when did God hear that prayer? The moment you prayed it, it was for the will of God. God wants to answer the prayer. Isn't that comforting to you? And you can pray and pray and pray through. By the way, you don't have to go out and start asking spirits to leave. You know, people have all this today. They're asking terrestrial spirits. I'm going to pray over Mumbai, the spirit of Mumbai Devi, and spirit of Saurashtra, and they want to cast out spirits, and there's some teams. That's all nonsense. Paul never prayed one prayer that way. Paul simply went to Jesus and prayed to Jesus and asked Jesus for help, and he prayed to the Lord that he would move by his messengers and send laborers in the fields, and that people would get saved, and they did get saved. Do you understand that? We don't fight the devil. We let the Lord fight the devil. What we need to do is simply believe and continue in prayer. As we continue in prayer, God takes care of the opposition. The battle is the Lord's, not ours. We have to focus on Him. Our job is not to get occupied with the devil. Our job is to get occupied with Christ. Now understand one last thing before we close. Therefore, never give up. What would have happened if Elijah had stopped on the 5th time when he sent a servant? And the servant said, he's got his face between his knees, go see if there's rain. After 5 times, nothing. Oh man, I'm going to give up right now. He didn't. He knew the Lord had spoken. And when the Lord has spoken, the answer's going to come without you needing to see a drop of rain yet. He began to pray and pray until the answer came. What would have happened if Daniel said, man, I don't know, the last time I prayed, my prayer took 5 minutes. I don't know what God is doing now. He didn't. He didn't give up on the 18th day. He prayed and prayed and saw